Hey everyone, here to talk about today's lesson, which is kind of an extension or part of lesson 9.3, choosing the best measure. That's what they call it in the textbook. Basically, what it is, it's looking at our three measures of center: mean, median, mode, our types of averages. And what it wants us to do, it wants us to choose which of those measures, mean, median, or mode, does the best job describing the data set as a whole. So on the bottom of our notes from a couple days ago, it talks about choosing the best measure. It says choosing the best measure of center requires you to analyze which best represents the typical or normal value in a set. So things to consider when asked this question, because sometimes it's not an easy question to answer, or sometimes you could argue two of the different measures. Okay, so things to consider: is there an outlier? Remember, an outlier is a value that's either considerably higher or considerably lower than the rest. If there is an outlier in a data set, that usually disqualifies mean as being the best measure to describe, okay? Because we know that outliers have a significant impact on the overall mean, either dragging it down or bumping it up quite a bit. So if there's an outlier, you can eliminate mean as the best measure, okay? But not all data sets have an outlier, okay? Another thing to consider is, where does each of these measures fall? If you think about where mean, median, and mode fall in the data set, that can help you determine what's your best description. So for instance, if your mode, the thing that repeats itself the most, is the lowest value or the highest value, it's off center. It's either way on one side or the other. So that's probably not your best bet. We know that median is always going to be numerically right in the center. Okay, remember that you have to order them least to greatest first. Okay, your median is always going to be at the center of your data set. Okay, so because of that, more often than not, median is a pretty reliable measure of center, meaning what would be the best descriptor. Okay. So it's not necessarily an easy thing to answer. We do have 4 different questions in today's lesson that ask you to find the mean, median, and mode. Well, let me rephrase that. There's 3 questions that ask you to find mean, median, and mode, and it's just a list of numbers. And then describe or pick which of the measures, mean, median, or mode, best describes the data set. Okay, so you need to be able to look at the set as a whole and think, which of these numbers, mean, median, or mode, is the best descriptor of this set. Okay, so if you think of it as quiz scores or test scores, which of these measures is the best indicator of how this student typically does? Okay. And again, when we are asked to take these concepts and analyze or apply it, that is a harder jump to make. Some data sets are easier than others. Like I said, if there's an outlier, get rid of mean. That is not your best bet. And then just from doing these questions year after year after year, I will say from experience that mode is usually not picked as the best measure. So those are just some things to think about. There is a 2:00 meet where we can look at the 3 questions that you were asked to calculate today. And then the 4th question actually involves an advertisement from a store. You can see the ads, the store's ad about cameras being on sale or selling cameras. And then off to the side, there are a number of prices of different cameras within the store. Okay, and then there's 3 questions that follow. Okay, so sometimes it's helpful to think about these numbers as something that would be applicable to real life, like prices on something, and how you might interpret what's being said. So try it out. Like I said, there'll be a 2 o'clock meet. If you can't attend, the meet will be posted so you can at least view it. So I will see you later on today. Thanks. Bye.